What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams. As always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
Hey, welcome to the show.
That's the third time I did this intro. I'm not doing it again. So if you're listening on audio and I'm stammering, I'm sorry. It's a bad day. But please continue to listen throughout the week. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. This episode is a discussion, so it should go up on Wednesday. Thursday is Ask Assist P. And then Fridays are, we talk about everything else, right? So definitely like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. But with that being said, I guess I'll give it to myself. It'll be the first time I got this right all week to lead the discussion. So please excuse me, I have to read a little bit because it is a lot of information. So on the infosecurity-magazine.com, there's an article written by James Coker titled UK introduces new cybersecurity legislation for IoT, which is information of things devices. So that's your Roombas, your thermostats, anything that touches the internet, right? So the Product Security and Telecommunications Infrastructure, I knew I was going to mess that up, PSTI bill places new cybersecurity standards on manufacturers and importers. We've talked about this in the past. IoT devices are super dangerous in that they are not held to the same standard as any normal switch or router or anything that's a little bit smarter, as well as not updated as regularly, right? Like usually you get them and they're pretty much end of life. Like they can care less about updating, really cheap products. Like I've seen it in like Roombas and Sharks and stuff like that. They'll update those, but when it comes to like light bulbs and thermostats and dumber things, not necessarily. Like your Nest will get updated, but if you got aquarium thermostat, probably not. It's probably not gonna get an update, and then it becomes an attack vector. So we've been talking about it, but apparently the UK is done talking. So their requirements include banning universal default passwords, forcing firms to be transparent about actions they are taking to fix security flaws, better public reporting, duty to investigate compliance failures, and produce statements of compliance and maintain appropriate records of this. So full stop, like you will protect these devices or we will hit those pockets. So fines could consist of up to 10 million pounds or 20,000 pounds per day for ongoing cases of cyber attack. So every day you can get hit for 20,000 pounds, which in American dollars is probably like 30,
right?
30,000 or something like that. Like the pound is killing us right now. So what they say basically is that through investigation, they have demonstrated that smart homes themselves can be attacked up to 12,000 times in a single week. So IoT devices are definitely a huge hole. They provide a huge surface attack that threat actors can use to get into your home, whether it be through, like I said, smart bulbs or thermostats or devices that aren't even connected directly to the net. So a device that connects to a device that connects to the internet is also an attack vector that can be used against you. Shannon pointed out that there's a link that takes you to the bill and it goes over the different parts of the bill. So part one is the product security measures. Part two is the telecommunications infrastructure measures. And there's some more in here. I don't want to read you guys to death, but I find it very interesting because this is more than the second time. So I can remember one just from pursuing my graduate. There's a huge bill, and I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not the GPRD, or I can't remember, but it deals with privacy. I should know it pretty well, but I cannot pull it out of my brain right now. But because of their stance on privacy, where basically you have to opt in, and companies have certain rules and restrictions against how they collect your data, it bleeds over to us as well. And just globally, they have a global impact, because if you want to do business with them in any shape, form, or capacity, or with one of their citizens wants to do business with you, you have to abide by the same rules. So as opposed to making rules that are separate between the different countries, they just make rules, or I should say, they abide by the rules of the most restrictive country, which would be the UK. So I think the same thing will happen in this regard. We talked about it, like fix it, come up with a standard, come up with a framework, or they're going to get you. So now the UK is coming after you. So you had your chance. But I open up to discussion. So how do you feel about this, LeVon?
Yeah, I think it's right on point. I had to do a quick search too about the UK's GDPR, just like you said, it's sort of privacy.
Thank you.
Yeah, privacy law governing the process of processing of personal data from individuals inside the UK. But yeah, that's a good point. And also, I think the whole thing with the IoT devices, that the fact that they're coming down on them and make sure that they're regulated, or at least like maintained as they should be, I think is a great thing. Obviously, IoT is like one of the big components that we always talk about of being like a vector for attack. Like you were mentioning, you said it all really, but the fact that they are like not updated as much as regular devices. And I try to like limit the amount of like maybe kind of like lower end IoT devices I have in my home. I mean, I do have like a Nest. I have like, I have like the cameras. I'm trying to think of the name of the camera company, but
Ring or Skybell or
the
I don't know. Whatever rich people buy.
That's whatever the rich people. Yeah. I'm one of them rich folks. But I got a few IoT devices, but I don't have. I had some IoT light bulbs, but that I got off for like an eBay or something like that. But I haven't used them in forever, and I was a little concerned about them being updated as well. So I haven't been using them in a while. But yeah, just like you were saying, it's like I think it's great that the UK is kind of trying to enforce some of the security some of the maintenance and security on these IoT devices to make sure that they're staying like up to snuff, because those will be probably, if anybody's going to cyber attack you, that's probably the first thing that they use to get into your environment.
Yeah.
And I've even seen some of the I think of some stories out there about some hackers getting into people's cameras and watching them. They had some cameras inside their houses that were watching like their house and the kids and stuff like that. And they actually had a speaker system in the camera, so that the hacker was actually talking to the people.
Yeah.
And that's something like that. It was as simple as I think getting their username and password. But some of these IoT devices probably don't even need that much. They probably just like they're wide open. You just go right into them and just like
so
use that
admin or user password.
Right. You just like, as long as you're in the vicinity or the gateway, IP or whatever you need to get into the device, you just have free reign to do whatever you want inside the environment. But I think it's great that the UK is doing this and make sure that these places, like these devices, are actually kept up to snuff. And because I know a lot of these IoT devices, come from like China, and then maybe some manufacturers in China that throw them together. And if and we want, obviously as Americans, we want things as cheap as possible. So, they're going to build a product as cheaply as possible and limited amount of maintenance, limited amount of support to give you, as far as like making sure that it stays up to date and make sure that it's properly configured and all that kind of stuff. So, hopefully this will kind of help rein that in and make sure that devices stay more secure. But with that, what you got on this, Shannon?
So I'll tell you like this, man. I applaud the UK. Because they're constantly on stuff like this. They're on stuff like this when it comes to the IoT devices, when it comes to paying out the ransom for the
like you will not pay.
Yeah, like they are always like the UK, the European Union, like it's one of those things where they stay on the ball with this and they're taking it serious, and I hope we follow suit, right? And it's gonna piss us off, right? It's gonna piss off Americans. They don't want to, because like you said, LeVon, like I only want to pay, like $15 for this, security camera or whatever it is, and like, and along the lines of what you're talking about, there's a lot of these security cameras and things like that where they let people set them up themselves, right? Like if you're not going to be monitored through a company or something, and you just do it yourself, where you could just do it on your phone, which not everybody's that fortunate, right? Like not everybody can have their cell phone on them all the time to be able to do that, but people are just going to take the quickest route, however they can make that happen. You know what I mean? Like, okay, all right, it says this is the default password. I'll just leave it at that for now, and I'll get to it later knowing they're not going to get to it later, right? As soon as it's set up, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm good to go. You know what I mean? And we even had a story where it was the aquarium thermostat or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Or,
in a casino.
Like a casino.
Yep.
yeah, in the casino, and that's how they got into the casino, right? So, I mean, you do have to be careful with these devices out there. Yes, there is the ease that it brings into our lives and things that we want to do. But one of the things that you brought up before, LeVon, about trying to counteract this, right, is to try to get all those things on a guest network in your house. You know what I mean? Like not put them all on the main. What am I trying to call it here? I'm drawing a brain fart here. I don't want to say that.
Local area network.
But there you go. Yes, your main Wi-Fi network. I don't know why I had a brain fart on that. Like I don't know, but yeah, you don't want it on your main one because like if they pivot from one of those IoT devices and get in, like you got the keys to the kingdom at that point, right? But if you put them on the guest network, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done for them to get in and do whatever, right? Assuming you set the network up, you set it up properly, right? Like you just don't give it the same username and password is what you have for the other one. Like,
right.
You're doing it, right?
Like,
yeah. Why would you even do that? You know what I mean? It's the first one they're going to try if they get in there. But I mean, there's ways around it. But yeah, like you're saying, right? There's all these many billions of devices that, you know, IoT devices that are out there that people are just not thinking about. You know what I mean? So good on the UK for doing this, man. Like taking the initiative to go ahead and do this. It's thinking about the future because like you just look at it, like everything is smart now. Your refrigerators, your toasters, you know, your thermostats for aquariums, like everything. This is the whole reason we went to IPv6, right? Because we're running out of IP space, IP addresses. Yeah. So like we know because we're giving an IP to all these different things in your house. You know what I mean? Like even myself, like when I go in and check every so often, when I go in and start looking at my router and whatnot, I see everything is connected. I'm like, man, I was like, I got way more things than what I thought I did. I thought I was careful, right? But I'm looking and I'm like, man, okay, I was like, let me like, what is this one? What is this one? What is this one? You know, I got, you know, phones and iPads and you know, Amazon Fires and there's all types of stuff that's hooked up in my house. I'm just like, wow, okay. You know what I mean? So it's just I mean, I know I have these devices, but it just gets away from me how many there are. You know what I mean? So like me being the cybersecurity guy, I got to secure all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, no, good on the UK, man, for getting ahead of this. Good on them.
Yeah, and I was going to comment on that real quick too. That you mentioned the monitoring your devices connected to your Wi-Fi network. I do that periodically. I'll go into my like Wi-Fi router. You can identify all the MAC addresses and devices that are connected to your Wi-Fi, and I think it's good to do that periodically. And I try to. I know it's probably easier for me because there's only 2 people in the house, but I make sure to know each MAC. I have it like labeled on the router, so it knows exactly what device it is, and so there's nothing like random that pops up in there that doesn't belong. And at the same time, of course, you can mask your Wi-Fi.
SSID.
SSID.
SSID. Yep. Yeah. So you can't even really see it. People can't really connect to it. But I did not mask mine for some other reasons to make it easier for some other devices to connect. But nonetheless, I do go in there to check out what's actually connected and make sure there's nothing crazy connected to my devices. I think it's a good thing for people to do in general, just to make sure you know everything that's connected to your Wi-Fi. And if somebody's in there, you can have people in there, your next door neighbor, all of a sudden it's like connecting and using your Wi-Fi and using all your data. You know, nowadays there's a limited amount of data you can use before your provider might come after you. But and like you said,
it's crazy is that I still see people that aren't securing their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Like when I go and you see stuff that gets picked up, I'm like, man, how are you still not securing this? And it could be a trap, right? Like I don't know.
I always think it's a trap. I always think it's a trap. I always think that they're trying to get somebody.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I think it's great that you mentioned with the using the guest network. I forgot that we had talked about that before, but that's like such a great thing. I haven't even implemented it yet myself, but I think I'm gonna start doing that to put on my IoT device.
You brought it up.
I brought it up. I thought
nobody wants to do work when they get home. Nobody wants to do work when they get home.
Yeah, I'm doing this IT work already. I'm like, I don't want to look at it more in IT when I. But no, it's a good idea, and like I said, I don't really have any devices that I'm really unsure of. But I mean, it's good to be safe nonetheless. Put all the IoTs on the guest network. Keep your laptops and your desktops, whatever that's Wi-Fi connected, your phones. You can put that in the main network. That way, if your guest network is compromised, they they've had local access to just the the low grade stuff that's not really important to you.
Right.
And you'd be better secured that way.
Yeah. One day I will do it. Because I want to restrict by MAC address as well, but there's so many devices, like household of 5 people.
Yeah,
so
I did that back in the day too. Yeah, I did that back in the day too. I had MAC addresses labeled on my thing so that only these MAC addresses can connect.
Right.
But then it became too much. I kept adding stuff. I had to remove stuff, and it's like, dang, I got to manage these MACs.
It's a headache because then you get a text like, hey, my such doesn't work. If you feel as though you're help desk in your own house.
Right, exactly.
It's like
it becomes
That's why I didn't hide my SSID, because then they'd have to remember it, and I'd be like, "Come on now, like I'm not easy to get a hold of if I'm not home." You know what I mean? Like
right, exactly. That's
yeah. And just like that, we talked ourselves out of doing this when we get to.
I know. See, that's why you're mad at me, Shannon, for not doing the IoT thing. But it's like it's more work I got to maintain.
Yeah, but it definitely would, like, I guess if I could start fresh, like if I moved, maybe
yeah
like if I moved, then they could restrict my MAC address, and as things entered my network, I could control it that way. But then you have guests over, like the guest network would definitely work out, but then they want to connect to your Bluetooth speakers to run their playlists. It's like
I know, especially with the holidays right now, where everybody's getting together and all this kind of stuff.
I didn't come here to work. There's got to be a simpler solution. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like I was gonna do the MAC filtering and whatnot, and I didn't do it because like whenever family comes over, my wife has friends that come over so often, you know what I mean? Like I don't mind them being on, right? If I'm like, okay, if you trust them, I trust them, you know what I mean? So like it's not an issue, but I don't want to have to do that every time, because then I got to keep track of if they get a new device, right? Then I got to be like, okay, all right, well, let me go grab my laptop, you know?
Right. And you got to find their MAC address too. You got to be like, let me see where your MAC is.
Yeah, you know, I'm doing all this stuff to where I'm like, I'm at home right now. I don't feel like doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like I'm at work.
Yeah.
So for the audience listening, don't be us.
Don't be us if you want to be super secure.
Talk about security and listen to us. Backpedaling left or right.
Right.
But I thought
it's just that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was gonna say it's just that balance of. Balance of functionality and security. That's it. Sorry.
No, you're good to go. Like I think I'm slipping. I'm on a time delay. So hopefully I get that fixed before we do next episode. But yes, you're absolutely correct. Like how much do you want to put into it versus how much you get out of it? Like is this person gonna typically a person you meet isn't gonna try to get into your network, but my fear is they bring something in the network. That is always my fear. But it's like like I gotta have an admin laptop ready whenever company comes by. Come on now. So you both brought up some really good points though, but yeah, you have to balance it, like LeVon said. But definitely hit us up throughout the week if you want to hear more content like this. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday's discussion just like this one. Thursday's Ask Us SP. So that's when I talk to someone who's breaking into cybersecurity just to answer their questions. So definitely tune into that. Friday is everything else. So like this week, we'll talk about video games and movies and TV shows and things of that nature. So definitely tune in. Hit up the website, www.theothersidefirewall.com. Get to all of our socials. Hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Clubhouse, and TikTok. And you, LeVon?
Yeah, please feel free to hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.